Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of a cracked, sun-baked sidewalk, the kind that's seen too many summers, with a brown paper bag clutched in my hands, the faint scent of roast beef and mustard wafting up. It's not just any Friday afternoon. It's the kind of day where the heat presses down like a heavy hand, making every step feel like wading through molasses. My name's Carla. I'm 31, and I've got this little tradition of shaking things up for my husband Derek when the monotony of life starts to settle in like dust on a shelf. I figured today, with the sun blazing and the weekend just around the corner, he could use a surprise. A homemade lunch, a quick smile, something to remind him I'm still here, still thinking of him. Derek's 34, a construction foreman who's built like the very structures he oversees. Solid, unyielding, dependable. We've been married 6 years now, and I can still picture the way his hands, rough from years of hard labor, feel when they rest on my shoulder after a long day. He's not much for words, but his quiet strength speaks volumes. I admire that about him, the way he clocks in before dawn and comes home after dusk, sweat-soaked and bone-tired, just to make sure we've got a roof over our heads and a future to look forward to. It's a kind of love that doesn't need grand gestures, just the steady rhythm of showing up, day after day. Though, if I'm honest, sometimes that rhythm feels a little too predictable, like a song you've heard one too many times. Not that I'd ever complain. Our life is good, stable, a warm kind of ordinary. I work part-time as a freelance graphic designer, which means I've got the freedom to carve out moments like this. My laptop is my office, and my schedule bends to my whims. That's why I'm here, on the outskirts of our small town, heading to the construction site where Derek spends most of his waking hours. The site itself is a beast of a place, a sprawling, dusty lot that looks like it's been chewed up and spit out by giants. The air hums with the growl of machinery, the sharp clank of metal on metal, and there's this ever-present smell of concrete and sweat that clings to everything. It's not pretty, but it's Derek's world, and I've come to know it well over the years. I've even gotten to know some of the guys he works with, characters who bring their own flavor to the chaos of the job. There's Tony, for one, a guy in his late 20s who's got a mouth on him that never seems to shut. He's all bravado and swagger, the kind of man who thinks every woman within a 10-mile radius is dying for his attention. I've caught him tossing winks my way more than once when I've stopped by, and while I roll my eyes at Tony's antics, I've learned to let it slide. After all, I'm here for Derek, not to entertain the crew's resident charmer. As I pull up to the construction site in my beat-up old sedan, the sun is glaring off the windshield, practically blinding me as I ease into a spot near the chain-link fence that boxes in the chaos of the place. The car groans as I shut it off, a tired sound that matches the way the heat seems to sap the life out of everything it touches. I step out, the asphalt burning through the thin soles of my sandals, and grab the cooler from the passenger seat. It's loaded with Derek's favorite turkey sandwiches and a couple of iced teas, condensation already beating on the glass bottles. The air is thick with dust, gritty against my skin, and I can feel it settling into every crevice as I make my way toward the gate. The site is a maze of half-built structures, skeletal beams reaching for the sky like they're trying to escape. I scan the area, squinting against the harsh light, until I spot Derek near a partially erected wall. He's in his hard hat, a faded flannel shirt clinging to his broad shoulders with sweat, barking orders to a small crew wielding tools like extensions of their own arms. His voice carries over the din of machinery, sharp and commanding, but there's a steadiness to it that always makes me feel safe. I call out to him, waving a hand above my head, and I can't help but smile as I see his face light up. He jogs over, kicking up little clouds of dirt with each step, and pulls me into a quick, sweaty hug. The heat of his body against mine, even just for a second, feels like coming home. He smells like hard work and the faint tang of sawdust, and I don't mind one bit. "Didn't expect to see you here, Carla," he says, his voice softer now, just for me. I hold up the cooler with a grin. "Thought you might need a break." We're standing there, caught in that little bubble of warmth, when I notice 2 figures heading our way from across the site. It's Tony, of course, with that signature smirk plastered across his face, wiping his hands on his jeans like he's just finished some grand task. Trailing behind him is Mike, a quieter guy in his early 30s, chuckling under his breath like he already knows what's coming. Tony's eyes lock on me as he gets closer, and I brace myself for whatever's about to spill out of his mouth. Well, well, if it ain't the boss's lady, gracing us with her presence, he drawls, tipping an imaginary hat. You bring enough grub for the whole crew, or is Derek the only lucky one? I laugh, used to his teasing after all these years of dropping by. Sorry, Tony, just enough for my man here. You'll have to fend for yourself. He claps a hand on Derek's shoulder, grinning like he's just won some unspoken contest. Man, you've got it made, huh? A wife who shows up with lunch on a day like this? I'm jealous. Derek just grunts, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth as he takes the cooler from me, but I can tell he's proud in his quiet way. The moment feels light, easy, despite the oppressive heat bearing down on us. We all shuffle over to a makeshift break area near a stack of lumber, where a tarp has been strung up to offer a sliver of shade. The ground is uneven, littered with stray nails and wood scraps, and I'm careful where I step as I settle against a crate, fanning myself with my hand. Derek pops open an iced tea, the glass clinking as he hands me one, and for a second, it's just us, sipping in silence while the world grinds on around us. But Tony, as always, can't let a quiet moment stand. He's leaning against the lumber stack, arms crossed, that sly grin still plastered on his face as he looks me up and down in a way that's just bold enough to make my skin prickle. Mike's beside him, wiping sweat off his brow with a rag, smirking like he's waiting for the show to start. And then, out of nowhere, Tony drops a bombshell that sucks the air right out of the space between us. Carla, I bet I'm way better in bed than Derek over here. His voice is casual, like he's commenting on the weather, but the words hit like a sledgehammer. A stunned silence falls over us, thick and heavy. I blink, not sure I heard him right, while Derek's jaw tightens, a muscle ticking in his cheek as he stares straight ahead, gripping his bottle a little too hard. Mike lets out a nervous snicker, shifting on his feet like he doesn't know whether to laugh or bolt. My cheeks flush hot, a mix of shock and something I can't quite name bubbling up inside me. I force a laugh, trying to brush it off, to cut through the tension before it chokes us all. Come on, Tony, don't be ridiculous, I say, waving a hand like it's nothing, but my voice wavers just enough to betray me. Tony, though, doesn't back down. Egged on by Mike's stifled chuckles, he straightens up, his grin widening as he locks eyes with me. I'm serious, sweetheart. I'm willing to prove it, right here, right now. My stomach twists, a storm of conflicting feelings crashing through me. Part of me is offended, angry even, at the sheer audacity of him saying something like that in front of Derek, in front of everyone. But there's another part, buried under layers of boredom and the monotony of routine, that finds the recklessness of it thrilling. It's like a spark in the dull heat of the day, dangerous and wrong, but impossible to ignore. I open my mouth to shut him down, to put him in his place, but before I can think better of it, words tumble out that I never meant to say. All right, hotshot, let's see if you're all talk. $300 says you're not. The challenge hangs in the air, sharp and reckless, and I can't believe I've said it. It's like someone else spoke through me, fueled by the heat, the tension, the way Tony's eyes gleam with triumph. My heart pounds in my chest, a mix of dread and adrenaline, as I realize there's no taking it back. Derek looks at me then, and the hurt in his eyes cuts deeper than I expected. It's not anger, not yet, just a raw, quiet pain that makes my throat tighten. He doesn't say a word, just turns away, setting his bottle down with a deliberate thud before walking back toward the work zone, his shoulders stiff. I want to call after him, to explain, to say it was a stupid joke, but my voice sticks in my throat. Mike mutters something under his breath, shaking his head as I'm stepping out of the shed now, the rickety door creaking shut behind me, and the harsh sunlight hits me like a slap. My clothes are a mess, slightly askew, my shirt untucked in a way that feels like a neon sign screaming what just happened. My hands fumble to smooth things out. But my mind, oh, it's a hurricane of guilt and panic, swirling so fast I can barely catch my breath. What was I thinking? How did I let myself get dragged into this mess with Tony? My heart's hammering against my ribs, each beat a reminder of the line I just crossed. A line I can't uncross no matter how much I wish I could. The air out here still reeks of dust and sweat, but now it feels heavier, like it's pressing down on me with the weight of my own stupidity. I glance around, half expecting everyone on the site to be staring, to somehow know. And there's Tony, not 10 feet away, leaning against a stack of pallets with that smug grin plastered across his face like he's just won the lottery. He catches my eye and winks, a slow, deliberate gesture that makes my skin crawl. "I'll collect that $300 later, sweetheart," he mutters under his breath, just loud enough for me to hear, his tone dripping with a satisfaction that turns my stomach. I look away fast, pretending I didn't hear him, pretending I'm not unraveling inside. My eyes dart everywhere but at him, searching the chaos of the construction site for Derek. I need to see him, to know if he noticed I was gone, to pray he's still oblivious to the storm I've just brewed up. My gut twists tighter with every second I can't find him, the fear of what he might suspect clawing at me like a wild animal. Finally, I spot him near the main work area, his broad frame bent over a wooden frame as he hammers away with a focus that looks almost angry. The clanging of metal on wood echoes through the air, sharp and relentless, matching the pounding in my chest. His face is unreadable from here, hidden under the brim of his hard hat, but I can feel the distance between us already, even from yards away. It's not just physical, it's something deeper, something I've carved out with my own reckless choices. I force my legs to move, each step toward him feeling like I'm trudging through quicksand, my sandals kicking up little puffs of dirt that stick to my sweaty skin. I try to school my expression into something normal, something that doesn't scream, "I've just betrayed everything we've built." But my hands are trembling at my sides, and I'm not sure I can pull it off. "Hey, Derek," I call out when I'm close enough, my voice coming out thinner than I mean it to, brittle like it might crack under the strain. "Wanna grab lunch now?" I've still got those sandwiches in the cooler. I'm trying so hard to sound casual, like nothing's wrong, like I didn't just spend the last few minutes in a dark corner of the site doing something I can't even bring myself to name out loud. But Derek barely looks up from his work. His hammer pauses mid-swing, just for a second, before it comes down again with a force that makes me flinch. He grunts, a low, non-committal sound that cuts through me sharper than any words could. It's not the warm, quiet tone I'm used to, the one that always made me feel like I was his safe place. This is cold, distant, like a wall's gone up between us in the short time I was gone. My throat tightens, and I swallow hard, trying to push down the rising tide of dread. I linger there for a moment, unsure what to do, before I shuffle over to a nearby crate and sit down, pretending to be engrossed in my phone. My fingers swipe aimlessly across the screen, but I'm not seeing anything on it. My hands are shaking so bad I can barely hold the thing, and I'm sure if anyone looked close enough, they'd see right through me. Every noise around me feels amplified. The roar of the workday is finally winding down, and I'm still perched on this crate, my phone long since abandoned in my lap as I stare out at the construction site. The sun is dipping low now, painting the sky in streaks of burnt orange and deep purple, casting long, jagged shadows over the dirt and debris. The air feels a little cooler, but it's still heavy with the day's grit, sticking to my skin like a second layer of shame. The crew is packing up, the roar of machinery fading into sporadic clanks and murmurs as tools are stowed away, and hard hats are tossed into truck beds. I watch them move with a kind of detached haze, my mind replaying every wrong step I took today, each one a weight that drags me deeper into this pit of regret. I keep stealing glances at Derek, hoping for some sign that the ice between us might thaw, but he's all business, directing the last of the cleanup with that same unreadable focus. I'm so lost in my own head that I don't notice him approaching at first. It's only when his shadow falls over me, blocking out the fading light, that I look up and see Derek standing there, His expression is hard, his jaw set like he's biting back a storm of words, and my stomach drops straight through the ground. My hands clench into fists in my lap, nails digging into my palms as I brace myself for whatever's coming. "Carla, walk with me," he says, his voice low and clipped, not a request, but a command. My heart starts pounding so hard I'm sure he can hear it, a frantic drumbeat of dread as I nod and slide off the crate, my legs shaky beneath me. I follow him, each step feeling like I'm marching to my own reckoning, the dust kicking up around my sandals as we head toward a quieter spot near the equipment trailers, away from the lingering crew. We stop there, the hulking shapes of the trailers looming around us like silent judges, the faint hum of the site still buzzing in the distance. Derek turns to face me, his eyes dark and piercing under the brim of his hard hat, and I can't hold his gaze for more than a second before I'm looking down at the dirt, my throat tight with fear. I'm expecting a fight, a blowout where he unleashes all the hurt I saw in his eyes earlier, or maybe a confession of his suspicions that'll shatter everything we've built. My mind races with excuses, half-formed apologies, anything to soften the blow I know is coming. But when he speaks, his words hit me like a freight train, stopping my thoughts dead. I know what happened with Tony. The air leaves my lungs in a rush, and I feel like the ground's been yanked out from under me. My head snaps up, eyes wide with shock, and I'm stammering before I can even think straight. "Derek, I didn't mean for it to... Please, just let me explain." My voice cracks, tears welling up hot and fast, blurring my vision as I brace for his anger, for the disgust I'm sure I'll see on his face. I can feel them spilling over, trailing down my cheeks, salty and bitter, as I struggle to find the right words, any words, to make this less of a disaster. My hands are shaking again, worse than before, and I'm clutching at the hem of my shirt like it's a lifeline, waiting for the storm to break over me. But it doesn't come. Instead, Derek does something I never expected. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out his phone, and turns the screen toward me with a flick of his thumb. I blink through the tears, trying to focus, and there it is, a text message glowing on the screen, time-stamped just minutes after I stumbled out of that shed. It's from Tony, and the words slice through me like a cold blade. "Told you I could get her to fold. Pay up, man." I stare at it, my breath hitching in my chest as the pieces start to fall into place with a sickening clarity. Derek's voice cuts through the fog in my head, steady but heavy with something I can't quite name yet, something between anger and resignation. "I made a bet with Tony a week ago," he says, his words slow and deliberate, like he's forcing them out through a clenched jaw. $500 that he couldn't sway you. I thought it was just talk, a dumb game to shut him up. I never thought you'd... His voice trails off, and the silence that follows feels like a punch to the gut. I'm reeling, trying to process that this wasn't just my mistake. It was a setup, a twisted challenge that I fell right into. My tears keep falling, but now they're mixed with a burning shame that I can't shake. Knowing Derek's been carrying this weight too, doubting me enough to even entertain such a wager. The drive home is suffocating. We're in Derek's old pickup truck, the engine rumbling low as the last light of day fades into a bruised twilight. I'm in the passenger seat, staring out the window at the passing blur of dusty roads and sagging power lines, my hands knotted together in my lap so tight my knuckles are white. Derek's beside me, gripping the steering wheel with both hands, his eyes fixed straight ahead. The cab is filled with a silence so thick it feels like it's pressing against my chest, making it hard to breathe. Every now and then, I steal a glance at him, hoping to see something, anger, sadness, anything. But his face is a stone mask, unreadable and distant. The weight of what I've done, of what we've both done, hangs between us like a storm cloud ready to burst. I want to say something, to break this unbearable quiet, but every word I think of feels inadequate, like trying to patch a gaping wound with a Band-Aid. So I just sit there, drowning in my own thoughts, replaying every moment of this disastrous day over and over, until my head feels like it's going to split open. When we finally pull into the driveway of our small, familiar house, the crunch of gravel under the tires feels louder than it should, like it's echoing the chaos inside me. The house looks the same as it always does, peeling paint on the porch, the crooked mailbox we've been meaning to fix for months. But tonight, it feels different. Like a stranger's place I don't belong in anymore. Derek cuts the engine, and for a moment, we just sit there, neither of us moving to get out. Then he opens his door with a creak, steps down, and heads toward the house without looking back. I follow, my legs feeling like lead, the cooler I brought to the site still dangling from my hand like a useless relic of a day that started with such innocent intentions. Inside, the air smells of the lavender candle I burned this morning, a faint sweetness that clashes horribly with the bitterness churning in me. The living room is dim, the only light coming from the faint glow of a street lamp sneaking through the blinds. I drop the cooler by the door, not caring where it lands, and before I can stop myself, everything I've been holding in comes crashing out. I collapse onto the worn-out couch, my face in my hands, and the sobs tear through me, raw and unstoppable. "Derek, I'm so sorry," I choke out between gasps, my voice thick with tears. "I swear I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It was a stupid, reckless moment, and I'll never let it happen again. I promise, I'll do anything to make this right." The words spill out in a desperate rush, each one heavier than the last, as I try to claw my way back to some semblance of the trust we had before today. Derek doesn't say anything at first. He's standing near the doorway to the kitchen, his broad frame silhouetted against the faint light, his hands shoved deep into his pockets. Then he moves, slow and deliberate, crossing the room to sit on the coffee table in front of me, close enough that I can feel the heat of him, but not close enough to touch. When he finally speaks, his voice is steady, but there's a weariness in it that cuts me deeper than any shout could. "Car, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you."